This is the most important video you will watch before 2025. And I don't say that lightly. And so there I was on a not so casual Tuesday. Bitcoin was pumping, flirting with $90,000. And I was logging into LinkedIn. I was about to troll some normies. And then by the grace of the all-powerful algorithm, I came across this brand new account the same day it launched. And it's associated with some very popular figures in the Bitcoin industry. Maulers, Saylor, Beck, Demeester, Mao, and Booth. And you guys, I know you've heard this before, but I promise it's not an engagement trick. What they're planning, this event could literally change everything.
Are you down with the underground?
It's Sir Ulrich, and are you down with the underground? Now, at the time of this recording, the price of Bitcoin is, well, it doesn't really matter because it will likely change by the time you see this video. The price action is going crazy and it benefits anyone who has skin in the game. As Wicked Apple says, watching his amazing chart, Bitcoin continues to be the best store of value the world has ever seen. Now, if your propaganda machines have not told you yet, you are in another Bitcoin bull market, like the ones in 2012, 13, 2016, 17, 2021, and now 24, 25. And just like each one of them, the bull market will end, sending us back to what we call higher lows during a subsequent bear market. Now, when will that be? We don't know, but we can ascertain through rationality, game theory, and abstaining from the hopium pipe that wrecks people every cycle top. So I want to give you 3 points to remember as you navigate this bull market, and then I'll explain why I believe they could all be related. No other Bitcoin channel or account on X, LinkedIn, Rumble, or YouTube will tell you what I'm going to tell you. So you need to save this episode and come back to it as news stories pop up about this topic. And also don't forget to subscribe as I'll return to this theory over time. So first, there's this company or some entity with accounts on YouTube, LinkedIn, and X, and they combine the social status of Bitcoin mega influencers with the political and authoritative status of Washington, D.C. And it's called BTC in DC. And it's a conference that's supposed to take place in September. And they want you to, quote, join the movement to convince regulators on their soil. Second, on July 31st, 2024, Wyoming Senator Cynthia Lummis introduced a bill to establish a strategic Bitcoin reserve within the US federal government. And it's titled the Boosting Innovation Technology and Competitiveness Through Optimized Investment Nationwide Act of 2024. Now, I'm sure you can guess what the acronym is for that, and it just goes to show that the government is continuously notorious for their stupid, meaningless acronyms. I'd love to hear from you guys. What are some acronyms that you've come across in your own careers just make you say WTF? Now, for this program, it calls for the purchase of, quote, not more than 200,000 Bitcoin per year over a 5-year period for a total acquisition of 1 million Bitcoin. And subsequently, it's also mandating the saving of that Bitcoin for at least 20 years. So finally, third, in August of 2023, the Federal Reserve interest rates were paused at 5.25%. And in September of 2024, rates were decreased to 4.75% for the first time in years. And in September of 2025, we will likely see a pause again of rates at roughly 3.5%. And so now what, Sir Ulrich? You give us these 3 factoids and it's supposed to mean something, right? In short, yes. But before I get into that, I just want to let you know that I deeply believe that 2025 is going to be a year to remember for you, for me, from no coiner to OG, 10K daily gains, dollar price milestones, and clowning on player hating journalists. I love that part. But as we know, all good things must come to an end, and even Bitcoin's price discovery pump of next year will at some point lose its steam. So just when will that happen? Now, over time, I've noticed that the Bitcoin social media narrative doesn't like to buck the current topic. We're all much closer to normies than we think sometimes. A lot of people think there needs to be some unofficial singular voice that would potentially break through the mainstream audience so that they can pump our bags higher. Well, you know, for anyone who doesn't know me, I was never one to fall in line with the current thing. And I would hope that you, Bitcoiners out there watching this, have the same freedom of thought that I do. So let's dig in a little. This Washington, D.C. vague Bitcoin conference thing, why choose September 2025? Because it seems like it's a little far off from when initial upward action normally starts to happen after a halving. Now, of course, maybe that was the only time frame that BTC and DC could acquire. For reference, Bitcoin Magazine had a similar issue, being limited to only July of 2024 to have their conference when they switched it from Miami to Nashville. And historically, it's one of the worst months in terms of weather in Tennessee, but they had no choice. Now, at a casual glance, this seems great for Bitcoin. 6 very famous figures, nation capital, emotional victory of Bitcoin's global relevance. Well, as emotional as investing markets are, we all talk about market sentiment. It takes more than a sponsored meetup to convince fiat-centric investors to keep a party going, especially in light of this next factor. So are you enjoying the quantitative easing?
Good afternoon.
QE essentially makes US Treasuries less valuable to investors. Now imagine you're getting 5% on your Treasury bond investment of $10 million, and then it went down 50 basis points to 4.5%. That's a 10% reduction in some filthy rich person's income. These investors need to speculate more to capture the same returns as the Fed gradually nerfs the relative risk-free method of cash flows. Bitcoin tends to benefit from QE as it's heavily regarded as the best risk-on asset. Well, chew on this. Many expert Keynesian economists were expecting the Fed interest rates to bottom out as low as 3% before the election. Post-Trump victory, however, that consensus expected rate was raised to 3.5%. And guess when the expectation to hit 3.5% is? September 17th or October 29th, which happens to be in the same time frame as this weird new conference. Now imagine all the possible outcomes of the SBR bill. Now Congress could say, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. Let's start buying Bitcoin right away. And Congress could also say, wow, that's a very nice, thoughtful idea, but there needs to be some work done. And then the bill writers go back to the drafting table. Congress could also say, hell no, that's a horrible idea, doesn't fit with our vision of how we should spend our money, and it's not ever going to happen, not ever. Now, when I think about these possible outcomes, it's more likely to me that there will be some sort of delay or even negative outcome rather than the USA just flat out aping into Bitcoin at a time when its price is far beyond any levels that have been seen before. Now, additionally, controversial or complex legislations often take 6 months to over a year and may stall out indefinitely due to political challenges. This bill is simple, but it is controversial. Don't think for a minute that anywhere near 50% of Congress gives a damn about the monetary revolution. Everything of these politicians is denominated in their US dollar standard, even the political allies of the network. They'll look at this action as the US making a trade and a seemingly poor one buying at the near top of the market towards the time this bill will go to vote. So take off the bull market stunners and think, what does that do to market sentiment with a potentially failing bill after 15 months of hype and promotion? It surely doesn't give a positive outlook for the next 3 to 6 or 12 months if the US Treasury isn't forced into Bitcoin immediately. Then speculators are going to think maybe the time for fun and games is up. And then you have to think about what are the incentives of Congress to return a negative response to the strategic Bitcoin reserve bill. If they can estimate their actions would have a significant enough negative effect that it would trigger a market downturn for Bitcoin, well, they can just potentially buy in at a later date at a much lower price. This benefits them individually and the US government collectively. And get this, that sell-off would also trigger many bull market speculators to bail on their Bitcoin adjacent positions, their ETFs, their MicroStrategy, their miners, sparking a massive tax event that would be delayed to future years. if Congress just said yes to the bill and everyone just continued to hold. My dogs, my girls, if you watching, listen to me. There's no incentive for anyone in Congress with a 2-year term to buy Bitcoin at its local top. There's also no incentive from Bitcoin businesses to tell you to watch out for these market signs. And there's no reason to believe we're going anywhere near 1% Fed interest rates. So look, don't give way to the engagement fodder from Bitcoin hopium dealers on X and YouTube saying you're not stacking hard enough. They don't know you and you don't know them. You need to stay solvent of mind and matter. Don't have FOMO in a time where normies are tripping out. I get a new call or text message from someone every week asking for a one-on-one TED talk with me about Bitcoin, and they ain't even watched a single video of mine yet. And for the record, of course, it benefits me a lot to see myself being wrong here, but it benefits me more to be intellectually honest and understand the sentiment of people who don't value Bitcoin the way you and I do. But mark me on these words. All who walk this earth will see how wrong they were about Bitcoin, this miraculous gift from God, and a market milestone in human ingenuity. I'm Sir Ulrich, like my father before me. We are not all in this together, so take note of the people to your left, to your right. Don't trust, verify.